Hello everyone and welcome. In this video, we're going to look into the LangGraph loops. First, we'll actually understand what we have created in the previous video, and then we'll actually go into the loops concepts in LangGraph, and we also implement the loops by opening the Visual Studio Code, and we will implement that as well. So, quick recap of what we discussed in the previous session is we actually added conditional routing. So, based on that, it is actually conditionally routing. If it is a refund, it's routing it to the refund response node. If it is a technical exception, it is actually routing it to the technical response node. If it is all other cases, then it is routing to the general one. So that's a quick recap. Now we actually look into what is loops, right? If you look into the real world examples, that do not always follows the straightforward approach, right? Sometimes the validation that we actually perform may fail, and we need more information and details as well on that. So it is not actually straightforward. Sometimes we need to actually come back to the previous step and analyze it, and then execute particular steps and go to the next steps. So that is where the loops becomes useful in LangGraph, so that we can actually go back from one step to the previous step, analyze the results, and go to the next path. So in this particular video, what we're going to build is we have the same classify email, which will actually categorize into refund, technical, and other exceptions. And we're going to build three nodes, which is ask follow-up, draft response, and escalate to human. So ask follow-up is like if a human sends a ambiguous message, then the system is unable to understand that particular message. In that case, it will have two attempts. First attempt, again, it will go back to the classify email and see if it make any sense. If not, second attempt will be given. If that second attempt is also failed, then what happens is it will route it to the escalated human, and we will send the human response back to the user. If the all other cases like refund and technical exceptions, it will go to the draft response, and it will send that response back to the user. For that, let's get started with the Visual Studio Code. I created application 3 and scripts.py. So total here we're going to build four nodes. Uh, First, we'll start with classify email. So first we're building nodes. First starts with a classify email. Classify email, again, it's simple. We can see we are taking an email as an input, and then this is again based on the keywords refund, login, app, error. This is all related to technical exceptions. In all other cases, it is unknown. They introduce a new variable called attempts so that we can keep track of the number of iterations that we can go back to the classify email. So the next node that we have to build here is the draft response, which is in the draft response, we can see we are actually taking the category as an input that we actually define in the previous node. And if the category is refund, we are sending this response back. If it is a technical, we are sending this response back. All other cases, this is the response that we are sending it back. Once we build the second node as well, the third node is escalate human. So for that, if it is escalate to human, we are sending this response. A support analyst will review it back, and we also setting the attempts variable to back to 0, because once we assign to the human, we need to set it back to 0. So now what we have done is we have actually defined four different nodes to classify email, ask follow-up, draft response, and escalate to human. Now what we have to define, previous video we discussed as well, we have to define the routing logic. The routing logic is basically if it is based on the category type, whether it needs to go to ask follow-up or draft response or escalate to human. So that's what we're going to define in the routing logic. For that, we create one more function. So we can see here the same thing, literal draft response, ask follow-up, and escalate to human. And we are taking category as an input, and items is also an input. If the category is in refund and technical, we are actually routing it to draft response. If the attempts is less than 2, then route it to the ask follow-up. In all other cases is escalate to human, right? So now we have actually defined nodes and also and also the routing logic. The next step is we have to build the state graph and the nodes. We have added all the four nodes: classify, email, ask, follow up, draft response, and escalate to human. And we started building the edges as well: start to classify email, and then we have applied the routing logic here, and then ask, follow up, draft response, escalate to human, and we close the graph as well. So that's pretty much what we have implemented, and few more imports, then we are done. Now we have added the imports as well as in the support state, which is the state that we will be passing between the nodes. We have got email, category, response, which is all three variables are old variables. We have added one more variable which is called attempts, keep track of the number of attempts, and that's pretty much. The exception that we see is ask follow up node is not added. So I actually added the node as well, ask follow up, which is basically written the response. Can you please provide more details about that issue? So once we have all the nodes edges defined, let's run this application. Now we can see the app is up and running. Now we will submit um, happy with services. Can you refund? So now we can see it's a straightforward response. It's classify email and items is 0 because it's not going out there. It's classified as refund and we have received your refund request. It is all good. The next one is we will submit some ambiguous message, hi hello. In this case we can see hi hello, it classified it as unknown because it's not very sure, and we have got one attempt here and it is going for ask follow up loop. And then you can see, could you please provide me more details about yourself, about your issue. And it is actually going back to the classify email after attempt 1, and then again classify email is categorizing it as unknown, and second attempt is also completed. Now because the second attempt is completed, it is escalating it to human, so we could not confidently classify this issue. A support analyst will review it. So that's where it actually closes the loop. And also you can see the attempts is setting back to 0. So if you ask again the ambiguous question, then again the loop starts, and we can see the classify email, ask follow up, classify email, and then escalate to human, right? The same loop repeats. That's pretty much what we have discussed in this video is loops concept, right? When the user sends some sort of ambiguous message, we are asking 2 times, retry that thing, and then if it is exceed the retry limit, then we go back to the escalate to human node and we close the graph. That's pretty much for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next.